Hey, Dion, if you can move Tyler to attendee. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Dion Cook from AVIXA, and welcome to Experience Yamaha's ADECIA Solutions, presented by Tim Mackey. This webinar is brought to you by our sponsor today, Yamaha. Before I hand the presentation over to Tim, I need to go over a couple of quick housekeeping items. For everyone viewing today live, today's webinar qualifies for a half of an RU for the CTS, the CTSD, and the CTSI. Please allow up to 7 business days for those to appear in your transcripts. If you have any issues, please email my team directly. This webinar will be approximately 45 to 65 minutes, and all attendees have been placed on mute. If you have any questions during our presentation, please enter them in the Q&A window so Tim, today's moderator, can address them at the end of the webinar. To access the window, simply move your cursor towards the bottom of the live stream video box, and there's a Q&A icon at the bottom. Please type away. You'll have access to this recorded webinar on our website at avixa.org/webinars in about 5 to 7 business days. Please, Tim, take it away.
Thank you very much, Dion. Welcome, everybody. One thing I'd like to do, we're kind of changing this up a little bit today, is if you're on Zoom, obviously you are, go up to your view icon at the top right and switch from gallery view to speaker view. And hopefully that should make my screen almost full screen for this presentation. So quick tip there before we get started. My name is Tim Mackey. I'm a field systems engineer with Yamaha Unified Communications. And if you haven't seen some of my videos on YouTube before, I'm still working here in Austin, Texas, in my workspace, home office / man cave garage. And as passionate as I am about restoring vintage Yamaha motorcycles, I am equally passionate, as I always say in these videos, about Yamaha audio. And we're here today to talk about the new ADECIA solution from Yamaha. It's a real game changer in the UC space. So let me tell you about the space I'm in. It's a 30 by 50 metal building I had built a few years ago. I've actually got a tape measure on the floor here to give you a little scale. I've got it set out to 20 feet. But we're 30 by 50 feet wide. The door behind me is 14 by 14, and the walls are 16 by 16, 16 foot high, and it's about 19 foot high in the peak. And I've set up the ADECIA solution in this space. In fact, there's a video on YouTube of me tuning that system. It took about 5 minutes from when I plugged everything in. I'm actually speaking to you on the ADECIA microphone that's set up right here. My son and I hung that at about 10.5 feet. The camera can make dimensions look a little strange in here. So I'm not wearing a clip-on presenter mic. I'm just going to walk around this space and let the ADECIA handle that for me. So what the ADECIA solution does is it puts virtual wearable microphones onto any participant in a meeting space. And I've actually turned this garage into a very, very cool meeting space. Now, the technologies that Yamaha brings, very unique technologies that Yamaha brings to bear, are HVAD and auto-tuning. The HVAD is really being able to differentiate between human speech and background noises through that speech range. So it helps with other technologies, and we'll touch on that. And then auto-tuning. If you've ever been fortunate enough to have a Yamaha surround sound system at home, you'll know that that system auto-tunes itself, and we'll take a little bit closer look at that in a second. But those are the two main features that are in the ADECIA system and these other solutions I have here as well. Now, we also have noise suppression, automatic gain control, adaptive AEC, de-reverberation, speech tracking. I mean, it is literally just amazing, all the technology that Yamaha brings to bear in our UC products. And that technology is shared across all of these devices. I'll give you a quick zoom in real quick. Here we have the YVC 1000, which shares in that auto-tuning tracking technology. Here's the YVC 330, which creates what we call sound cap technology. That puts a bubble around me and rejects noises outside, perfect for home use and office use alike. And then the YVC 200, I don't go anywhere without that guy. We've done videos on that as well. And then, of course, our our Executive Elite wireless microphone systems. But today we're going to focus on the ADECIA. And even though these technologies are shared across the whole platform, we're going to focus on this guy today, and I'll show you the components in just a second. So I'm going to do a live demo, as I have been. And what's cool about this system is it uses a spiral pattern of 64 mic elements to generate dynamic, narrow focus, multiple beams in the environment. Right now, it's got a beam on me about 15 degrees wide, and it's going to track me around the room. It's going to compensate for my speech levels. The beautiful part about this is it generates multiple beams for those that are also going to be participating in the conference. Now, what's cool is this is designed specifically for conferencing. This wouldn't work if there was 30 people in here in a choir singing underneath this microphone. That's not what it does. It wouldn't mix all 30 voices together. It's targeting specific people in a conferencing environment and giving them their own virtual wearable microphone, like me in here in this room right now. And the cool part too is you don't have to set it up. There are no lobes to configure. It just covers a 25-foot area when you put the mic in, and we'll take a look at that auto setup and auto configuration. But let's take a look at the gain control right now. I'm going to go ahead and sit down. I've kind of mocked up a little meeting space in here, and we all get that one person in a meeting that talks very, very quietly. They sit at the end of the table, and they don't speak very quietly. In fact, you can even be whispering. I'm literally whispering about 10 feet from this microphone. So be careful what you do say under an ADECIA microphone. And the tracking, as I get up and walk around, that narrow beam is going to stay focused on me. I'm going to go ahead and sit down in this chair. I've changed locations. Now, I might sit at the end of the table. And again, I'm 20 feet from my other chair, if you look at the tape measure. But I might rotate around in the chair as I'm talking. And this sort of scenario right here would wreak havoc typically on a table microphone. So I'm going to get up now and walk around to another location. It's going to continue to track me. It'll track me right under the microphone as I walk straight back over to this area where I'm going to be presenting for the rest of the afternoon, for the rest of this session, excuse me. In fact, one more little demo I want to show you. One quick thing. Here's the line array speakers on either side of me, and we'll touch on those. And everything else is in the rack. Super simple, and we'll look at that. But I'm now backing away to my refrigerator, and I've pre-measured. This is 17 feet away from this microphone. I'm now going to go ahead and open the door, and I'm going to step outside, and that beam is still tracking me. I'm now standing outside the building. In fact, I'm now whispering. I'm literally 18 feet away outside whispering. Should hear a little bit of wind there. It's a pretty windy day here in Austin. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to show you a couple of pieces here, a few more camera angles before we get into the presentation itself. And again, what's cool is I could be doing a podcast from here, describing each motorcycle and walking around this space and not have to have a clip-on wearable microphone. So the system itself is in my rack. That is it. It comprises of a switch, which is the only thing you plug into 110 power. And the processor is above it. And then I have my two speakers and the microphone. The two blue cables, Cat 5, go to the speakers. The two white cables, one goes to the microphone above and one goes to the processor. I even threw a few Matchbox cars in there for scale of reference. This is the future. This is the delivery of AV over IT. That is the entire system. The only thing I plug into a wall outlet is that switch. Here's a look at the microphone above my head. And by the way, I have a 10-ton air handling system in here. And the heater may go on and off during this session, and you just will not hear it with our noise cancellation. Remember I talked about that HVAD helping with our technologies, and it certainly helps with noise suppression. Other systems are looking for steady state noise to cancel as well. But with HVAD, we can filter through the entire spectrum from 20 hertz to 20,000 without tiptoeing through the speech range for fear of eliminating it. Now I'm going to go ahead and mute from my Zoom platform, and you'll see the LED reflect that. It'll turn solid and start to flash. So there's your interoperability with your platforms. And back to me right here. Now I want to show you a little video because my wife is out of town right now. I can't bring anyone else up here to show you the multi-beams. And one of the things I want to talk about is the average human can comprehend 1.6 conversations at a time. So the whole premise with conferencing audio is very different from, like we mentioned with House of Worship, trying to capture everybody singing. When you have more than 2 to 3 people talking in a meeting, you start to approach an Italian family dinner instead of a meeting. Two conversations going on at one time is probably the most annoying thing in the world in a meeting. So even when I used to program DSPs, even in this room, if I had 10 microphones in here, I would never allow more than 3 to be open at any one time. Because again, beyond 2 people talking, 3 people talking, the intelligibility drops, and there's no point in having any more microphones open anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So I'm going to see if I can move Teams down, Zoom down here, pardon me. I'm going to share my second screen. And I want to show you a quick video clip. Hopefully you guys can see my screen now. And I'm going to turn off my camera, save some bandwidth. So this is the delivery of AV over IT. And the ADECIA solution is comprised of multi-dynamic beams for up to 4 people with those 64 elements. I'm going to show you a quick video now of 4 people in one room. Each person's going to get their own beam. Now, if you pay attention, one person's going to do ABCs, one person's going to count through the numbers, one person's going to name off the days of the week, and one person is going to name off the months of the year.
Part of the ADECIA solution with the RMCG ceiling microphone is dynamic multi-beam technology. What does that mean? Dynamic beams means that the microphone actually dynamically calculates the beams based on where people are in the room and where they are speaking. So if somebody is moving in the room, the beam will follow them. If somebody is in a specific location in the room, the beam will follow or will actually create in that location. Multi-beam technology means that there's not just one beam, but several beams for lively discussions when there's more than just one person in the room that are participating in the conversation. Let us actually show you how that works in ADECIA between the 4 of us and talking over each other. So let's roll that. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. Well, I assume that sounded terrible. However, if you listen to it clearly and carefully, you should be able to hear each of our voices within the mixture which you heard here. Why is that? Because we have 4 different beams that formed on each of us. And they are being mixed together in ADECIA and then being sent over to the far end, so that everybody on the far end can hear what all 4 of us were saying in this room. Multi-beam really allows you to capture a lively discussion between several people. It's definitely superior to single beam technology, where you would have one beam forming based on who is speaking, which actually causes some delays and lows in the audio when a new beam needs to be calculated.
So again, I think if you listen to that video, it was very clear that you can discern the individual people speaking and what they're saying. So let's talk about how we do this. Yamaha. What is it unique about Yamaha that allows us to do this? Well, I actually got the privilege of going to Hamamatsu 2 years ago. And this is our $100 million innovation center. And this is an amazing facility. This is the same space that houses our DSP engineers, our amplifier and speaker engineers. They're sharing technology with our UC audio engineers, with our live sound engineers. Within this facility is the world's largest indoor echo chamber, 30 feet wide, 46 feet deep, and over 43 feet high. Yeah, I've worked for other DSP manufacturers, and all of their test rooms could literally fit into one end of this place. Yamaha's been in business for 130 years, and they've been doing audio processing for about 50 years now. We've been in the US market since the 1960s as well. So it is just a depth, a real depth of understanding in audio technology that we can bring to the equation. We also have ergonomic evaluation rooms, sensory rating rooms, and reverb chambers. And this is really specific to our space. We can adjust the RT60 time, the reverberation time it takes for sound to decay 60 decibels from 0.3 to 1.6 seconds. So we can develop products for these challenging environments today. I call them fishbowl rooms. We used to have things called ANSI standards for room criteria for background noise. Today, architectural considerations, corporate transparency take the fore over acoustic considerations. And Yamaha's leading the way in developing products for these spaces. We lead the way in specialty audio processing chips, artificial intelligence in audio. This is one of the rooms I got to go in. This is a speaker lab and DSP test chamber. Again, we lead the way in digital audio as well. Yamaha was one of the largest initial investors in Dante, in Audinate, and we're leveraging that technology, and we'll take a look at that. And then finally, a quick look at the bottom floor of the Innovation Road Museum, and I'm very proud to see our UC products sharing the same space with all the other Yamaha audio divisions. A lot of synergy between the divisions, and we're leveraging that, and we'll take a look at it. So a quick recap of the technologies. These two right here are absolutely unique to Yamaha. Adaptive echo canceller. We got a video out there which will show you just how powerful it is when you move a notepad around a microphone on a table and how important these things are. People ask me all the time, why Yamaha? Well, you've got to listen to us side by side to a comparably priced product to understand. Automatic gain control, we've taken a look at that. It compensates for how loud and soft you can speak in a room. Automatic room EQing. There's a video I've created when I tuned this room. It literally took me 4 minutes from start to finish when I plugged the devices in to have the audio you're listening to now. This is one of the key advantages, one of the real game-changing pieces of the puzzle we're bringing. Automatic tracking, we've touched on that. We can literally track to your lips. Not a lot of people put de-reverberation in their UC products. Again, with today's rooms not meeting the old ANSI standards, this is really critical. And noise reduction, we do a better job because of HVAD at even the basic thing of filtering out projector fans, HVAC registers, those sorts of things. So the game has changed, and Yamaha is really going to be one of the leaders in this space. We're taking technology from these divisions. For example, if you bought a 7.1 Yamaha home theater surround sound system, it comes with a microphone you put on the couch, and then it plays pink noise out of the speakers and tunes it for that listening location and the acoustics of that environment. We're leveraging that technology. We're bringing automation into this space. Dante technology, which we touched on. I didn't realize that Yamaha is like the Cisco of routing and switching in Japan. They dominate that sector. Yamaha is the largest network infrastructure provider for small to mid-sized businesses in Japan. So I think Yamaha is really uniquely positioned to combine these technologies and bring a level of automation to the UC space that we just haven't seen. I've been in integration a long time, and it's well overdue to have these kinds of technologies be brought to bear in these spaces. So let's take one more quick look at some of the other features I want to touch on with the ADECIA.
A family of products designed to be easily installed and work seamlessly together to provide complete and customizable communication solutions. ADECIA. Over 130 years in the making, using collective knowledge, technology, and research to solve today's communication challenges. Overcome challenges with implementation, configuration, and room acoustics. All components required for successful installation for the communication spaces of today and tomorrow. ADECIA offers dynamic multi-beam tracking technology, constant live tracking beam support for lively discussions, no dead spots, no programming fixed lobes, room setup flexibility, no need to pre-program lobes when design changes. Yamaha world-class acoustic technologies. Human voice activity detection identifies and eliminates noise to capture and send human speech clearly. Capture voice for natural communication. Best quality Yamaha audio, designed and tuned for easy installation and use. Reduce time, spend, and complexities. Enables single cable connection for seamless integration with Dante and PoE technology. Auto detects installed components. Auto configures devices into coherent solutions. Auto measures and optimizes audio performance for room audio environment. For smaller or larger spaces. Supporting USB, Bluetooth, aux.IO, SIP telephony. Customizable for flexibility with open interfaces. Crystal clear, worry-free remote communications. ADECIA.
So let's take a look at the solution itself. It is a powerful solution, and that is it. Here you're looking at it. This is the elegance, the beauty of it. This system is no more complex for an IT department now than an IP camera with the automation of the audio process. It comes in a variety of colors with the speakers, but this is the bundle. These are the bundles. The only larger bundle is adding a second microphone. And we'll talk about buying the pieces a la carte on applications next. We'll take a little bit closer look at the microphone first. We'll go through the pieces of this. So we've talked about why this is a game-changing mic. We brought the other mics in-house. We looked at their microphone array patterns. Our patented spiral arrangement, the elements actually end up closer together. We're able to do with this microphone what just wasn't capable of being done before. One of the things that's really cool with this is it is a standalone Dante microphone. There are 3 Dante streams that you can associate with this mic. One is echo reference in. The other is fully processed out because the DSP and all of that magic and processing is housed in the microphone itself. And this system is very future forward looking. We also have non-processed linear output for future applications coming our way, like speech recognition. The microphone itself is not a direct ceiling tile replacement. We're avoiding any litigation issues between some companies with that. Basically, if this was in a drop tile T-bar ceiling, you would see a teeny bit of the tile around it. You're going to cut a hole in the round tile, just like mounting a Yamaha speaker with this thing. It also comes with a AVIXA mount provision. I'm using the M6 rigging points. You can do a suspended mount as well. So there are a number of mounting options for this microphone. And whether you buy it as a standalone mic, and we'll talk about that, or as the ADECIA solution when you use the RMCG microphone with the RMCR processor. We'll take a look. It comes with the T-bar mount included, irrespective of which way you buy it. So great mounting options. And by the way, it functions the same in an open air hanging environment as it does flushed into the ceiling. The really cool part for this system is the switch. We're leveraging Dante technology. All of Yamaha's switches are Dante enhanced, but really it's a ubiquitous technology at this point. It's a layer 2 technology. It doesn't require any configuration of the switches. It doesn't have to be a Yamaha switch, but it does need to be a PoE Plus switch because we're providing power to all of the devices. It's a single Cat 5 plug for everything. 30 watts of power times 8 ports, 240 watts of power out of this switch. And again, the only thing you plug into a wall is the switch itself. We do realize many customers are going to put this on their network. Do your homework, but pretty much every switch out there at this point supports Dante, Dell, Cisco, Juniper Foundry, whatever you use, Extreme. So the next piece of the puzzle we want to look a little bit closer at is the RMCR. This houses the audio with the microphones and the speakers. You'll notice it has XLR inputs. You can walk right up to this in a room, plug in any dynamic set of microphones, and have a town hall meeting or local reinforcement in the room, or 2 clip-on presenter mics. And those will route with the ceiling mics to the far end on the conference. Here is your Bluetooth pairing button. That is one of the interfaces as well. What do you not see on here? 110 power. That's the beauty of this thing. You plug it in right here. We have, I'm plugged in right here to my Yamaha switch. And the auto discover is using Dante, and we'll take a look at that. You don't have to know Dante or log into Dante. We're just leveraging it on the back end to serve up in a very easy to use interface. This could be your SIP interface. Like the video said, we have Bluetooth, USB, line in and out for a codec. This could be your out-of-band network management. Let's take a look at the audio interfaces. Again, on the front, 4 dynamic mics with feedback suppressors to route directly to the speakers. Here, you're listening to me right now. My laptop is plugged into the USB audio port. If you don't use our line array speakers, you can use your own amp and speakers. We provide line out. And that system will participate in the auto tuning, the playing of the pink noise and the setting up of the system. And we're seeing not just Cisco codecs and other codecs used in the input-output, but lecture capture out, program audio in. And all of these interfaces are bridgeable. This is a full open API command set for this too. You can use this with third-party control systems like AMX or Crestron. You can use our own Yamaha Provisionaire to set up your own tabletop dialers for the SIP. This box is phenomenal, what it does. Real game changer right here. It may be in the rack and you can get rack ears, but we're envisioning this box being in the room, under a table, on a credenza. Think of it, it's a single Cat 5 to this thing in most scenarios. And then you can access the Bluetooth and the microphones itself. So that's the processor and the microphone. Let's take a look at the speakers. I was blown away. I've been doing conferencing for about 15 years now, and I wouldn't have really thought of using line arrays in conferencing applications. But Yamaha's developed these specifically for this application, and they're perfect. They're 2 inches wide, 4 inches deep, and 44 inches tall. They're fully ADA compliant when flush mounted, and they include that flush mount kit. There are 16 matched high-energy 1.5-inch drivers. These are a true line array with the amplifier section in the bottom. And again, single Cat 5 back to the switch with 30 watts a channel, more than adequate for this application. The amazing thing about the VXLs is they're 170-degree horizontal dispersion, yet only 25-degree vertical dispersion. They're a true line array. Unlike a point source speaker at the front of the room, we're not radiating in 360 degrees and bouncing off the floor and ceiling. What really blew me away with the VXLs is they're only 9 dB quieter over a 40-foot distance. So if I'm standing back here with my back against the wall, it's only 9 dB quieter than if I'm standing here with my face against the grill. So now in a 40-foot room, we may have, like I simulated here today, a 25-foot table, and you're only going to get maybe a 4 decibel variance, 4.5 dB across that table. It's literally almost like having a zoned speaker system in that room. If you get a chance to play with the VXLs, please do. They are just phenomenal for this application. I've used them in this room too for doing karaoke night, and it just fills the space perfectly. Horizontal dispersion without that vertical, like I said. There's the mounts that come with it, the flush mounts. I'm using tripod mounts because I do a lot of moving around and on-the-road demos before the pandemic. And if you have a vaulted ceiling, we have an articulated overhead mount available as well. They come in white and black, but hey, get funky with your space. They are fully paintable. Let me get a little sip there. So that brings us to kind of the meat and potatoes. This is it. This is the complete solution. Now check this space because Yamaha is putting a massive investment into this ADECIA solution. There's going to be new pieces to this puzzle joining this family. But right now, you can do 2 of the RMCG microphones, 2 of the line array speakers, connect them to our switch with the RMCR processor, and this is the ADECIA solution. Sure, you can use this mic standalone by itself. In fact, I just spec'd about 10 of these for a combine and divide 6-way auditorium space. You can use these with anybody's Dante DSP. Same with the line array speakers. But when you combine it with this processor, you get that auto discovery, auto tuning, auto routing. It takes this to being a game-changing solution. So this is the layer 2. And one thing I do want to say, even though we're leveraging Dante, it's a closed environment. We're not bringing third-party Dante devices into the ADECIA environment. Just the ADECIA solution is using Dante to do what it does. So let's take a look. After I mount the mics, mount the speaker, I plugged everything into the switch, plugged the switch into the 110 wall outlet, and then I connected the USB, opened up my web browser, put in the IP address, entered my password, and I was served up with this GUI. Now you'll see it pops up with this 5-step tuning wizard every time you open it for the first time. If I close this box, I can easily open it again by just clicking this auto setup button. So if anything changes in this environment, I can log in remotely and run this 2-minute audio tuning process anytime I like. You'll notice in the background that it's actually discovered the devices. But this is the welcome screen that comes up when you are finished plugging everything in and are ready to have a meeting in 5 minutes. It's going to use Dante and find those devices. Now, you may be deploying multiple systems in an enterprise environment. And again, just to touch again, not only do we use Dante and we're network-centric, we support SNMP management, everything we do moving forward is going to be riding over Ethernet. This should be no harder to manage than an IP camera. You'll see these little buttons here. You can flash the lights if you're doing more than one room to identify what pieces you're actually working with. I can flash the light on my mic and my speakers. The next step, it's going to ask you to identify your left and right speaker. Again, I flashed that one. I said, yep, that's it. I select my right speaker. From here, I click next. and it's going to execute that tuning process, very similar to our YVC 1000, very similar to our home theater systems. It's going to play pink noise throughout the system. You need to be quiet, and this process takes about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. You can be able to see your progress as this is going on, and then when it's done, EQ succeeded, you're going to get a thumbs up, and that is it. You are ready to have a world-class meeting in your space. Now, if you need to set up an exclusion zone, suppose you're working in an open area, a new hybrid meeting space, a collaboration open space, and you have a cafeteria to one end. We do have a page for simple interface to make basic adjustments if you need to. Very basic one page for any DSP adjustments you might want to make. Very simple to describe your space and limit where that exclusion zone should be. You just make sure you're looking at where your LED is located, orient yourself, and that's it. But these two are rare use cases, really rare use cases. Most of the time, you're going to go straight into having your meeting the second you're done with that tuning process. So let's take a look at this space. You'll notice the VXL speakers are up on the head end. We have the ceiling, the microphone mounted in a very low ceiling here. One of the things you don't need to worry about is the occasional fixture or projector hanging down or obscuring possible with the path. With this technology, with 64 elements, we're just not seeing that as an issue in these applications. So this is a flushed in low ceiling mount. Here's your T-bar mount. This is the same thing. Again, reflective surfaces, a lot of challenges here. This is perfect for these environments. In a high ceiling, and again, anywhere between an 8-foot ceiling up to about 12, 13 feet, no problem for the ADECIA RMCG microphone. A lot of reflective surfaces in this room, a hanging projector with a noisy fan. I'm sure you haven't heard my HVAC turn on and off in here today yet, but you just don't hear it with that HVAD and that noise cancellation. And again, some hanging light fixtures are not a problem here at all. Here's a AVIXA mount, and this is a really elegant room. Very, very easy to quickly set up this room. This would be a challenging room. A lot of reflective surfaces in here. We've used the AVIXA mount for the microphone. The RMCR processor is sitting right there. You can literally come in here with your phone, do a Bluetooth pairing if you so choose, and have world-class audio. And they're actually using the VXLs on the tripod mounts in this room. This room, very cool, vaulted ceiling. They've used the M6 rigging points here. This is set at about 11 feet in this room. Hooked up to a Cisco codec as well. And again, the VXLs are perfect. You can tune the audio level to not blast the cube farm that's just out of view over here. Perfect application for these speakers. So the ADECIA really is the ideal solution for meeting rooms, like we talked about. Here's that poor ANSI standard. Yeah, there's some carpet in here, and this wall is not bad, but when you have an entire wall of hard whiteboard, reflective table, not sure what they're going on with this here. Hopefully that's an acoustic panel, but that could be just artwork. But again, we work with third-party control. We can interface with anybody's existing codec or video conferencing systems. Looking forward at open collaboration spaces. This is perfect for ADECIA. This is about a 30 by 50 collaboration space. 2 ADECIA ceiling microphones would cover this space perfectly. You could do town hall meetings in here with the XLR inputs on the fly. Very, very perfect space for the ADECIA solution. Now this one is a training space, and this is where I think ADECIA's full feature set really shines. Now, remember I said these microphones can be used with anybody's third-party DSP, including our Yamaha MRX 7D. This is about the maximum size we're targeting for the ADECIA solution currently. Yes, you can use the microphones in bigger rooms, but this is about a 35 by 40 wide by 60-foot training space. I would put the 2 microphones equidistant, mic A and B in here to cover this space. Now, I wouldn't worry about the 6 projectors with their noise, but here's what's really cool. Suppose I was using this with our Yamaha DSP or a biamp DSP. All you would need for that biamp is 2 Dante channels in, because we're doing all of the audio processing. All the DSP is within the mics. Now, I touched on this earlier. Typically in a DSP, you're going to mix a few mics together, irrespective of how many you've got, maximum to send to the far end. Now, suppose I'm standing right in the middle of this training room. I got a beam from mic A on me, and I've got a beam from mic B on me. And a traditional DSP is going to sum those two together and route it to the far end. And that's going to sound good, but it's not going to be as clean and tight as if I had the RMCR processor in here, because it's going to go, wait a minute. I've got a beam from mic A on Tim, and I've got a beam from mic B on Tim. Mic B is the better beam. I'm using that one. So now you can see the advantage of the solution as a whole. Anyone at any of these tables could speak up and they get a beam, you get a beam. Sitting here, you get a beam. I could present from this screen, be tracked to this screen, to this screen, to this screen, and not need a clip-on presenter mic. But I could put the CR right here in this lectern and add 2 clip-on presenter mics. I could have a Catchbox wireless mic coming into the ADECIA and have that be tossed around the environment. But here's the really cool part. When I move these tables and rearrange this space for different applications, I do not have to log into that microphone and change its pickup patterns. That's the beauty. It's automated, it's dynamic, it's picking up anywhere in the space. I could literally stand in the corner and I would never be in a null spot, like some of the ones we analyzed when we came up with what we think is a better mousetrap here. Education spaces. These are become huge for ADECIA right now. Let me take another sip of Gatorade there. We're just seeing explosion with ADECIA in these spaces. Let me tell you about one that's really cool that I'm involved with right now. They're retrofitting these classrooms, and they were first saying, hey, look, this is normally a 45-person occupancy room, but right now with distancing, we've only got 7 people in this room. And they were looking at doing something that wasn't ADECIA. And by the time I showed this and we talked about it and demoed it, I said, hey, how about a solution that is the same price as that wireless mic system you're looking at, that will not only cover the 7 people right now, but will cover your 45 people when you are back to normal capacity in this room. And by the way, I know your amp is in that lectern at the front of the room for your control system and the speakers in your room. Let's put the CR in that lectern and right where the professor is, and now we can route right out of our line levels into your amplifier system. All we've got to do now is run 1 or 2 Cat5s to the ceiling for your microphones. So retrofitting rooms with this technology has just been a very powerful application for ADECIA. They were so enthused with this system that it's really kind of taken off and expanded. And I'm looking at a few other universities with these applications right now as well. It's just perfect for these types of environments. So with that said, we've had our fun with our demos. Kind of gone through the presentation, and I see there's some Q&A, so let's get to the questions. Let me open up the Q&A chat window if I can and see if I can start at the top. Okay. Somebody's saying hello. Hi, Abdul Raf from India. Great demonstration on audio. Let's see. Can the Yamaha... Okay, here we go. First question. Anonymous attendee. Great demonstration on audio. Just curious, what camera is he using? So I'm actually using the Optics PTZ for my long-range camera, and I have some ADA cameras for filming the microphone. I have one little microscope camera that was showing my gear up close there, so very cool. Accidentally scrolled. Can the Yamaha switch be used for connecting other AV devices as well, such as room controller? Absolutely. One of the demo systems we just put in, he had his camera and everything running over the same switch. And as I mentioned, doesn't have to be our switch. That's the beauty of Dante. It's ubiquitous. It's pretty much on every switch out there for the most part. Does the Yamaha ADECIA RMCR unit support voice lift to the line array speakers via the 2 XLR inputs? Yes, it does. That's really what they're there for. They're there so your CEO could walk over, plug in a handheld mic, and do a town hall meeting. They route directly to the speakers with feedback suppression. They also have echo cancelers on them for routing to the far end as well. Is the switch unmanaged? Yep, it's a dumb layer 2 switch. There's no CLI to log into, nothing to program at all. Sounds like I had an internet problem there for a minute. Hi, is it possible to use it as a camera tracking system? In the future, I imagine that will be a feature that's involved with it. Like I said, we have the linear non-processed output from that mic as well. So yeah, check that space as we move forward. Noticed a few times when you cut out, was it the internet or the system? Yeah, so folks, I am in Texas. I had no internet, water, and electricity a couple weeks ago. I have been taking some internet hits. I promise you, look at my videos on YouTube. If we were cutting out today, it is because my ISP is still working in my neighborhood a little bit. When you say the system picks a better beam, what are the criteria? So basically, that's what I talked about with our years of experience of writing algorithms and understanding audio processing. With the ADECIA processor combined with the mics, we're able to manage the beams in a way that a third-party DSP just receiving the mixed output can't. So that's the beauty of the solution. Is the Yamaha mic is better than Cisco, Shure, Sennheiser? So the two we analyzed mostly were the Sennheiser and the Shure. The Sennheiser is an X or cross pattern of array, and the the Shure microphone uses rings of mics. We actually ended up with better dispersion, more equidistant between our mic elements with Yamaha's patented spiral arrangement. We did a lot of homework taking those systems apart and really coming up with our own way of doing this. And again, like I said, it's putting virtual wearable microphones on people in a meeting space. That's the whole premise. Wouldn't make a good choir mic. Is the Yamaha ceiling mics? Not sure what that question is. There's one. I know this was not presented, but does Yamaha have the ability to allow hard of hearing persons to connect phones just like how phones connect via Bluetooth? Absolutely. So we will bridge between the Bluetooth interface, the line level interface for codecs, the USB interface, and the SIP interface. Great question. So let me see, open 3, answer 12, dismissed. It doesn't matter that in your installation that the air ducts are above. And one thing I have learned with this system, if I have noisy fans and things, I like to run the tuning process with those turned on. So I'll put the room in kind of its worst state when I do the tuning. And yes, it absolutely will deal with those. Can I connect the RMCR to a USB 3.0 switcher in order to share this device with two USB hosts? So, as this is a brand new solution shipping now, we have done some testing with USB extenders and the like. We have a knowledge base for our existing products. We will be posting up on our knowledge base what we recommend as far as USB peripheral devices. That said, one of our partner companies, Barco, their new ClickShare, allows us to plug the ADECIA directly into it. You can go fully wireless with this sucker with the Barco ClickShare, so check that space too. Can the system be turned into a PA? Essentially, yes. Those two XLR inputs route into the room. So I could plug a microphone in right now in my space and sing out of my XLR speakers if I so choose. Could this be used outside on a balcony, for instance? Yes. One of the cool things I've done in the past is open this door behind me and walk out into my driveway and have the beam track me out there. So yeah, it's really irrespective of indoors and outdoors, or whether it's in a ceiling or in an open space. Is there any microphone configuration software available, or is the configuration fully automatic? Well, we touched on it again, that one screenshot I showed you in this presentation. You can adjust the basic parameters that you would in a typical DSP if you so choose. There is that ability available. And again, as a standalone microphone, you can do those if you're using it with a third-party DSP. But the game-changing aspect of this is, as a system, you mount the devices, you plug in the Cat 5s, you click 5 mouse clicks on a GUI, and you have a world-class meeting. AVIXA webinars would like to answer the questions live. Is there any microphone? Can these mics be mounted on walls like a stage application? Great question. No, they can't. They're ceiling mics. They have audio curves that are specific to that location. They're very different than the tuning we have on our desktop gooseneck microphones, for example. Great question. No, you cannot put this on a wall like our CS700 beamforming microphone in that solution would be. This is for a ceiling mic pointed down at the floor. Which control functions are available with the Crestron control system? So it's a full open API. We do have a list of all of the commands available, but all the usual suspects are in there. I don't know specifically, but you know, volume up and down, statuses you would need. With our wireless mics, for example, you can control each individual mic, look at the battery status. So I don't know exactly what all is going to be in there. Everything for our SIP functionality will be in there. But great question. Please check our website for our open API for that Crestron control. And again, watch our space too. There's going to be new pieces and components to the ADECIA family in the next 6, 12, 18 months. Very exciting time right now. Any other questions coming in? Looks like there's 4 open. There was 2 dismissed. Okay. I don't know, Dion, is that it? Anybody else got any questions? How are we doing on time? We're looking pretty good on time. Would
Yeah,
anybody...
you've got a few more minutes, Tim, if you want to answer. Just as the ones that just came in, I didn't know if you answered these or not, so that's why I left them there. So all
Cool.
on you.
Cool. Any other questions from anybody? I'm not seeing any other ones coming in.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, Tim. And I'd like to thank everyone so much for joining us on today's webinar, Experience Yamaha's ADECIA Solutions. This recording will be available on avixa.org/webinars in about 5 to 7 days. If you have any trouble, please contact my team at webinars@avixa.org. Just a side note for all of those who have a CTS, if you've registered for the webinar with an email address other than the one that's on file for you, you can't get credit for attending. We can fix it on the back end. However, just email your account rep and let them know that you used the wrong email address, and we'll get it fixed for you on the back end.
Thank you, Dion. I want to say thank you, guys. Thank you very much for coming to my live demo here. And please reach out to us if you've got any questions.
Tim, thanks again. And thank you to our sponsor, Yamaha. We hope you've enjoyed this, so please stay safe and make it a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.